Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
Do you ever play a game and you're like, wow, this is really phenomenal. How is this not everywhere? How is this not everybody talking about it? Well, we're talking about it now.
So we picked up Empire's End at Gen Con last year, and this is one of the ones that I wish we dove into right when we got it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
There were a few. One we actually did play. It was Stone Spine Architects. We'll talk about that one later. But where this one I played maybe 2 months afterwards. I mean, we just had a large stack and it takes a while. Don't at me with that, okay?
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
And I remember playing it and be like, oh, this is really awesome. And then I brought it back out again recently and I was like, wait a minute. I think I fucking love this game. And how come I haven't been playing this forever? How come everybody hasn't been talking about it? I think this went up on Kickstarter because I think it was talked about before it for a while. Because I remember we talked to them about this. It was 23. We were talking about this, but I think that was pre-Kickstarter or something. But yeah, so I think it took a while to come out, so that may be part of it. But hot damn, is this a good game?
The basics of the game is everyone has an identical tableau of these different buildings and zones. They're each worth points. They each have an ability on them. And throughout the game, you're going through a series. Well, mostly it's just disasters. So mostly fire start, things are blowing up, and you are bidding on having it not blow up. Mm-hmm. So you're all going to bid, and it's the no thanks style bidding where you go around the table and you each add one to the pot to keep it going. And then whoever ends up losing takes the pot but destroys the building that it was. And there's also a bonus they get on the card. And that happens a bunch of times. So
yeah, that is the majority. Well, because you go around and do, it's not turns, it's phases, right? There's a track here that tracks the phases, and it's either you're going to bid on cards or you're going to do little production phase type things. So, which does mean that the game goes by super fast. But the bidding, that no thanks mechanic of I don't want to blow up. And the point values on these things are wild. Your lowest is 3 points and your highest is a 32 point thing. So if you just accidentally just so happens that you didn't have a lot of resources and one that's going to blow up on your 32. Because the card says, it has a number in the top right-hand corner that tells you which one you're going to blow up. But that's just counting from left to right. At the beginning of the game, somebody shuffles these and then everybody else matches. But there are ways through card abilities, and everybody has a ability that they start with that will allow them to swap positions.
So you all start off with an identical tableau, but as the game progresses, so at first it's we're all fighting over this one, we're all fighting over this one, but towards the end of the game, most things have swapped around at least somewhat, so it's this is my 17.1, I don't know if I want to lose that. It's your 32.1? Oh, you're definitely going to lose it.
Yeah, I'm willing to bid now it changes what I'm going to spend on,
But also because of that no thanks mechanic, where at first you're oh, I definitely don't want to lose this one. After a while, you're that pot's looking pretty juicy.
Yeah, there's 8 resources on there. Now, granted, some of those are yours, right? You put some of those on there. But still, it's well, what are the next phases coming up? And actually, the only phase that we didn't talk about, I guess the... there's economy. These things have abilities that will gain you more resources. Yeah. There's a building phase where you actually can build other cards from your hands, but you can also rebuild things that blow up. But then probably the most different one is the military phase. That isn't also bidding, but it's fist blind bidding. Bid, yeah, but you have base, these sword symbols is what you're doing. Swords plus axes that you're willing to bid into your hand. So if these blow up, my base could be 0. So now it's just all on the bid, right? Mm. But I can get more cards built up here that give me more. In the last game, the last one we did, I'm all right, my base is 7, which is pretty high. Most of the cards, they'll have a range of if you're at this range or below, you're going to lose points, but if you're here, you're going to gain some points if you're here. And usually it's 8 to 10 or whatever is the high range. Mm-hmm. And then if you bid the most or tied for most, there's an additional points and stuff you'll get on top of that. Now, I'm not going to say, I'm not a designer. I don't know all the math behind how it works, but I think this is pretty strong because I've leaned heavy into military every time I've played, and I'm currently undefeated 4-0, which means also I'm never playing this again. I don't want to risk ruining that beautiful...
Saying you leaned heavy into military, though, because what you're building is what's dealt to you. So you don't necessarily get to choose, I'm just going all military cards this game. Now, there are cards that pop up that you may say, I want that card more because it has a military bonus, or you may fight harder to save your military bases.
Or you may mulligan more because you build the cards from your hand, and you can just burn. Yeah, you can. So, I mean, you're right. You can't just choose to do it. But
you can prioritize it in the options that are given to you.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of resource generation in this game.
That's true.
So you're definitely... I always suck at bidding games because, just like in real life, I get money and I'm immediately like, I'm going to spend it all.
I would like one Carbonite Star Wars Unlimited booster pack, please.
How's it going? Can I get a Carbonite pack? Jump to Lightspeed?
You really need to be careful, and every bidding game is like this. I don't know why I'm even telling you this, but in case you don't know, you got to be really careful with your resources because you're bidding and you're bidding and you're bidding, and then before you know it, you don't have anything. But also because whoever loses the bid takes everything. So not only are you losing resources, but your opponents are potentially gaining resources as well.
So 2 things. 1, this sounds very specific and personal. Sounds like you speak with the confidence of a man who has experience in the matter. Just to clarify the difference between winning and losing the bid. Like, you're either going to, when we're doing the bidding thing, you're either going to place a resource on that or take everything that's there. So I don't know if you would count that as winning or losing the bid, but when you take it and you're forced to then blow up that spot, you're gaining all of those resources. So if you want that card, but you're like, I'm gonna see if it can go around one or two more times so I can get more, but then somebody else ends up taking it and you realize, oh crap, I just gave them more resources for no reason. Yeah, but I should have taken it earlier.
What you don't want to do is get yourself into a position where you just have to take the card with no resources because you just don't have any resources.
Again, that sounds so specific. Why would you bring that up?
What I really love about this game is that it's quick.
Yes,
I love games that play quick. It doesn't have a ton of rules to it. There's a bunch of different stuff going on. There's multiple types of bidding. There's your economy. There's battling. There's building. But realistically, it's pretty straightforward with what you're doing.
Probably the biggest hurdle or whatever would be like cards with abilities at the bottom, but those are still pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's very antagonistic in that it's highly competitive, you're going back and forth, you're at each other's throats, but it's not like you never attack somebody. You can't necessarily choose
you can't gang up on somebody, really.
Yeah, it's just you're all bidding, and anyway, I love it. This game is fantastic. You should have it in your collection. Agreed.
Now, the only minor complaint I might have, some of the abilities on cards, and I'll see if I can find it, will have triggered abilities where you have to place a cube on it to use it, right? And then it's not until another ability will let you wipe off that cube, can you use that ability again? I feel like the distribution of those is maybe off, or just in the games that we played it felt that way, because there were a lot of times where it was like, oh, hey, you get to wipe off all your cubes. I'm like, well, none of us even have those cards that have cubes on them to wipe off, so that's useless.
Yeah, I mean, I did wipe my cubes, I think, twice in the last game we played. I do feel like it's also frequent enough that I never really felt myself in a position where I'm like, ooh, do I want to use my card for this one, or do I want to use a resource? Like, it's just guaranteed, like, whenever that resource is available, I'm just going to use my card first.
Yeah, it's like the triggered abilities, there's so much wipe. I don't know. I feel like that's just a mechanic that, to me, I'm just not super excited about. Like, whenever I see those abilities on cards, I'm just kind of like, like, whatever. That's the only complaint. It's the only part of the game that I'm not super thrilled about. I don't want to say I don't like it, but I'm not super thrilled about it.
I am thrilled about this insert, though.
Oh, yeah.
I love these that, like, each player, you just hand these out. So, like, the setup is so easy because however many players are here, take one of these boxes, here's everything you need to start the game.
Including your starting resources. 2 of each thing is just already in there and it fits. Now, the only thing is that then you can't really sleeve the cards, which... Do you need to sleeve the cards? I don't know. We were talking about that earlier. No. Like, I mean, these are the skinny, like, space size cards, so you'd have to buy special ones or find them. I don't know. But whatever. Point is, it's a really great game, except I did play with one group of people who, like, you know, when we're playing, like, we were talking about cards getting really juicy and putting resources on. There's, like, 6, 7, 8 resources on there. And it'll be like, okay, I'll put the first resource. And then this person puts the second resource. And then it comes to the third player and they're like, well, it already has 2 on it. I'm like, no, you're playing wrong. They're like, well, you know, it's just different groups are going to play differently. I'm like, true, but you're playing wrong. You're all doing it wrong.
If you don't do it the way Tom thinks you should do it, you're wrong.
That's true for pretty much everything. Like when somebody's ordering in front of me at Wendy's, I'm like, you're doing it wrong. You want the Frosty, you don't want a soda.
So if you can't tell, we absolutely love this game. I think you'll love it too, which is why you should pick up a copy by clicking that affiliate link down in the description.
Okay, and shut up. Down there is also a link for Game Toppers. They are the sponsor for Neverboard Gaming. It's what... Well, don't do... Fingers.
No fingers.
Game Toppers is great. This game is great. Subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.
So if you haven't already bought this game when we start talking about it, because it's incredible, there will be a link down there where you can get a copy. Just below that link is also a link to... This is terrible. I'm going to start it over.
You want it?